Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to try and show you how to use the mesh cleanup without messing up your topology. So I went around and went through my mesh and I noticed I had some issues in this region. So I think I'm hoping also that this is the main reason why my mesh cleanup wasn't working well. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those faces. I don't know where they came from or what, but I went ahead and deleted them and now it looks pretty good. I haven't seen any other spots. With that being done, I'm first going to try my mesh tools and do a sculpt tool, and that's all it was. Using the mesh cleanup options, having one little spot messed up at any point can really disturb the cleanup tool in other places, and that's exactly what we just saw happen. So I just wanted to go ahead and show you that I actually had some improper topology in there, and where the mesh cleanup can be helpful, as I was showing you at the end of the previous video, combining the feet to the legs to the body, I ran into this issue at the end trying to utilize my sculpting tool. But now that I have it accessible and it's working properly, I'm just going to use my holding shift. I'm going to start to sort of share the length on this. And actually, before I go ahead and do all that, one of the things you do when using the sculpt tool, make sure you turn on your symmetry. One of the things that happens a lot of the times is that you'll end up losing some of that detail that you originally had. I'm not too concerned about it at the moment, because what I'm going to do is with my texturing and things like that, I will go ahead and clean some of it up later. But I do want to sort of spread the love with the distance between my verts and my edges, so I'm just sort of trying to make a little bit more equal in length, in distance between all of these, to sort of give it a better topology when it's all said and done. Oop. That's just sort of, even though I'm just smoothing this out, I'm holding shift with the sculpt tool. I'm just sort of smoothing this all out. I can always go ahead again and start to deform it, but that's so far so good. And just pop this out ever so slightly. Alright, that'll do. And then if you need more topology in regions, don't be afraid to just go ahead and start cutting some of it in. Oop. Like, I think I could use an edge loop right here. And I think that's really, and I could use one even here to give me a little bit more definition in those regions. Other than that, going back to my sculpt tool, or the smooth tool does the same thing, but I just have the settings set up in this one a little bit better, at least for this at the moment. And I can start to sort of, you'll see that I'm getting a little bit more ability to sculpt in more detail, because you need to have that geometry in order to create the proper well, it helps to have more geometry when trying to create more detail, if you will. Okay, so that's pretty good. I can always go back and check my reference, and if your window, or if your outliner, if your reference vanished, just go ahead, find it in the outliner. Okay, and then just turn in all views and looking through camera, and I'm going to do the same thing for the front reference. and then in all views, looking through camera, and then here I can now go back, because I've got some of that more detail to work with. I can begin to start to sculpt in a little bit of the information that I need. And then again, just make sure you have object on, and then you can always switch views. And I'm just going to minimize this one, and over here get some of that more definition in there, and then just smooth out a little bit. Again, right here, smooth out if you need to, and then down here, okay, smooth out if you need to, and then you can do the inside also. And it looks like I need to do a little bit here, and that's pretty good. And then I'm just doing it on the opposite side, but I'm following my reference on this side. Okay, and then let's go up into the body. The body's looking pretty decent. Just give myself a little bit extra geometry here. A little pull, if you will. And I'm just using the sculpt tool. Super simple tool to use. Just sculpt along. Just make sure you set your settings to be proper. And then here, when I was fixing it, I sort of gave it a little bit too much smooth. So I'm going to go in here and start to fill that out, if you will. Doesn't need to be perfect. Something like that. And then I'll just run a quick touch on the smooth. And then also in the back, I know I'm going to need to pull this out just a little bit, and then I can run a quick little smooth in there. Okay. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much my reference. If I need to go in and clean this up a little bit more, I'm going to do it through the vertex mode. Just sort of grab these, give it a little bit more harsh of a curve here. And when doing that, make sure you select some of those vertices that you need. Something like that. Okay. And that's good enough. I could run a quick smooth on the back just to make sure that you see these large spaces here. It helps to sort of use that smooth tool. It's really just a faster way to use the average vertice tool, because you don't have to go in and be so nitty gritty on which verts you're selecting, which is nice. Super nice. And you could do the same thing in the front of the body, because we did some of that there. And then always be sure to check, of course, my side reference view, just kind of not there. Outliner, side reference, in all cameras, looking through camera. Okay, it just reappears, so that's good. And then you can always go ahead back and sort of do some cleanup in here. And it looks like my legs definitely need to be a little bit thicker than they originally were, but that's from when I was trying to get the geometry to be a little bit more even-like. Okay. Alright, that's good. And there we go. So that should do it. Just a quick little touch up here on using the sculpting tool, and showing you a little bit more about the mesh cleanup tool, which I actually didn't even need in the long run because I had this weird geometry just sitting there for no reason. So it's always good to go back and double check to make sure that your geometry is good, as I had just shown you. Anyway, that's everything I've got for this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.